waxbarashadu waynoo wanaagi waxbarashadu waynoo wanaagi walaalayaalo wada ogaada وهي تعلينتا ودادة توسن وهي تعلينتا ودادة توسن داد يوعي عظا وذا أقادا.
Good evening, students. My name is Galado Dire. I'm English teacher, and I help you to succeed in exam, the back exam, session 2016. In this session is the second session actually. After the first one, we've seen the characteristic of the English exam. In this video, we will look at the methodology of the exam, which is divided in three parts. We have the comprehension, the linguistic competence, and the writing. The first part, which is the comprehension, we look into more in details. Is first of all, you should know that themes that come in on this document is within the program of the class year 12. So it's nothing new, it's something you've seen already this year. For the level of the document, which is a B1, the European framework is for year 12 students only. The comprehension is divided in three parts as well here. You have the skimming, scanning, and opinion. The questions that come in on the skimming, it's what's called the first reading. En français, on dit ça, lecture de repérage. The skimming, as I said in French, lecture de repérage, you need to read the text to understand. And when you're reading the text, you should, at the first reading, you should understand the main idea, what this text is about, what are the main events, who are the main characters, etc. But I will advise you to read the question, understand the question before you start reading the text. So first, question, then reading the text. You have here open questions, which are who, when, where, what. Who is the main character? Qui est le personnage principal? When was it written, published, or drawn? Where does it come from? D'où est-il tiré? On vous demande ici la source. Is it from internet? Is it from a newspaper? Is it from a novel? Etc. What is it about? What is the story? What can you tell me about his story? De quoi parle-t-il? It's about this story here. Now we look at the scanning, which is the second reading. When you're doing the scanning, you need to find a specific answer, which are more details, events, who are the characters in the text, and the question you might have in here could be like true and false, or open question we already seen, which are the WH questions. If you see code or pick out, they're not mentioned, you should use your own words and make simple and complete sentences. But if you have a code or pick out, then you can go back to the text and you need to underline the sentence or the line number, so you have to show where you're taken from. Another advice, you need to read your answers, understand, so you can pick out if there's some errors. You can have like common errors like S which comes with he, she, or it. Now we have the third form of the questions. We already seen skimming, scanning, and opinion. Opinion, which is the last part of the comprehension. You have here questions which are about your opinion. What do you think of it? Que pensez-vous du document? It's about you, it's about your opinion, votre avis. Do you find it funny? Le trouvez-vous drôle? Do you find it, this story, do you like this story? What would you do if you were X? Would you think of it, etc. So this kind of question comes with the open question. If we go to the second part of the methodology of the exam, as we already seen, we have the comprehension. Now we have the linguistic competence. Linguistic competence is about vocabulary and grammar, mainly grammar. So you should have 1 or 2 exercises of grammar. This exercise will be on the framework, European framework, level we already seen, which is the B1 in year 12. And the notion or the theme you'll be seeing will be in year 12 as well. So it's nothing new. You already seen year 12, so everything you've seen during this year could come up on the exam. So you need to revise the text as you already seen it. Different type of the linguistic competence. You could have open gap filling exercise. You can have multiple choice. You can have a spot the error, or you can have word formation. If we go more in details about open gap filling, you are given a text, usually with gaps in it, and you have to fill with the suitable words. And mainly words come either on the bottom or up. It's advisable for you to read very carefully through the whole text from beginning to end to start completing the gaps. So you cannot just start completing it. You need to read again, understand everything, and then you can start filling one by one. So if we have here an example of the open gap filling, that's a sample. You have a missing parts, which are on numbers. You have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 until 7, which is in your book, year 12 book. So you can have a look at that, or you can have many other examples through your book. This is the second it might come up. So it's called the multiple choice. Multiple choice is when this technique is used here, is about, for each gap in the text, you have a choice for 4 different options, which are A, B, and C. So one of them might fit. You must only choose one. So if you choose 2, if one is correct, your response will be marked wrong. If you choose 2, one is wrong, one is right, both of them will be marked wrong. So you have to only choose one answer. Spot the error. This technique is known as error identification or spot the error. In many ways, it's what the writers have to do when checking what they have written. They have to pay attention to meanings and to identify words they may have put into the text by mistake. In this test of this type, you'll be asked to read a text which contains some errors, and your task is to identify, or in other words, spot those errors in the text, and this text is presented with its title and is arranged on the page with its line numbers. So it's your job to do it in order and spot the error to correct it. Here we have an example. When you're using he or she or it, if you have, for example here, he have a very good card. So you can say he has instead of have. Or you have here a elephant, an elephant. So that's a big difference. So you should make sure you correct it if you have this kind of errors. For the word formation, this method focused on your ability to form a different type of English words for the verb, noun, adjective, and adverbs, and your awareness on how one type of word can be changed and another type to form a new word with a new meaning. In a word formation test, you are given a text which contains usually number pages, number gaps, and each gap there is a word in brackets printed in a bold, and your task is to change this word into another related one so that the new words you have formed fits the gap completing the meaning of the sentence you are considering, and fitting with the syntax of the sentence. You have an example here, right at the bottom. Happy. You have the prefix an, unhappy, and happiness. Nation, international, national, legal, illegal. Now we have the last part of the methodology of the exam. I remind you again, we have the comprehension, linguistic competence, and the writing, l'expression écrite. L'expression écrite, elle consistera de deux types. Il y a ce qu'on appelle l'expression écrite semi-contrôlée et une expression écrite libre. So, il faut choisir et bien comprendre ce qu'on vous demande. Est-ce qu'il s'agit d'une expression écrite semi-contrôlée ou est-ce qu'il s'agit d'une expression écrite libre? Here, students of Series L, they need to do both topics. So you have two topics and you have to do it, both of them, because you're from L. But students from ES, S or SG, they have to choose only one topic. For the numbers of the words, students of L have to do both topics, which will be 150 to 200 for each one, in total 400 or 300 words. But for students from ES, S or SG, one topic, 150 words or 200 words maximum. Again, I remind you about the level of your writing. It should be within the B1 of the English. Here we look at the vocabulary tips. When you're writing your essay, you should remember it's very important, the vocabulary. So you should have a very rich vocabulary. For example, here you have think. What can you use for think? You can use I believe, I feel, I'm convinced, or you have good here. Good, for example, interesting, great, awesome, pleasant. For sad or sadness, you can talk about negativity or difficult situation, unpleasant. If you're talking about important situation, you can say something very significant, relevant, etc. And finally, you have the word problem. If you're dealing about problems or you're talking about problem issues, so you can use the word issue, which is the same thing, or critical situation. This is the end of the session. I wish you good luck for your exam, and hopefully you will follow the third session of the English back.